Greetings. So, at the time of this recording, the date is May 22nd, 2023, and I was looking at Facebook's On This Day feature, or memories, Facebook memories, where they show you previous posts, from previous years that fell on this particular date of the Gregorian calendar. And it showed me this post from a year ago in which I was discussing a YouTube community post by TEOTW Ministries regarding the Hebrew language. And let's see, hold on, I'm going to click on the post. And, looking over this post, it made me want to make a very quick video on this, and I'm going to just sort of do this quickly and upload it sort of raw. So, forgive me if the quality is a little awkward or whatever. But nonetheless, so in this post from a year ago, TEOTW Ministries had basically made a vague allusion to a language somewhere in Africa being, the true biblical Hebrew or something like that, in contrast to modern Israeli Hebrew. And that subsequently led to responses from me in which I said that there's no language closer to biblical Hebrew, no living language closer to biblical Hebrew than modern Israeli Hebrew. And I said that while fully acknowledging all the differences between modern Israeli Hebrew and biblical Hebrew. And, the TEOTW Ministries briefly made a video in response to that. And then in that video, they claimed that they would bring out the fuller teaching. But, it's been a year and they've yet to do so. But the reason, and I'll link to all the relevant posts and videos in the video description of this video, but the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I was looking through the comment section and I noticed that I had posted a screenshot of an exchange between Amir Al-Umara and I believe Yakoba, one of the Teo twins, because Amir Al-Umara commented on their community post. And then later on, they deleted the entire exchange. They censored the entire exchange. They removed all of Amir's questions and responses and stuff like that. So I thought it was worthwhile to make a quick video to highlight the, that exchange, which they tried to remove from the internet, which they tried to scrub from the internet, at least for the historical record. So here's the exchange, and I'm just going to read through it and maybe offer some minor comments. Again, I just wanted to make this quick video just so this is, stored somewhere, for posterity, like I said, for the record. This is the exchange, the comments and the replies that one of the twins decided to remove from their community post, and you have to wonder why. All right, so starting at the top, Amir wrote the following. This is his preliminary comment on their post. He writes, "If I may inquire, what morphological, syntactical, and verbal conjugation behaviors and patterns do these languages in Africa have in common with biblical Hebrew?" And then one of the Teo twins responded, "Some of the research is already out there." That's pretty vague, that's that's a common thing you run into on the internet. Oh, do your own research, like I'm not here to do research for you. Just as a rule of thumb, when people pull that sort of reply, more often than not, they're doing it because they don't actually have a substantive answer. Nonetheless, Amir replied to that. He said, "I'm asking you, though, because asserting that Hebrew connections to languages of Africa entails they'll have similar cognates, morphological, syntactical, and verbal conjugation patterns and behaviors. So what do languages in Africa in these categories share with biblical Hebrew?" And whichever twin was responding said, "Then you will have to wait until I complete the preparation of my presentation. Who are you anyway? How do you identify yourself?" So first of all, like I said, this is from a year ago, this screenshot. So they're basically telling him to wait for their presentation, but that presentation never came, or or it hasn't come yet, and it's been a year, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it's not going to come. And then you'll notice the second part of that reply, he's asking, "Who are you, and how do you identify yourself?" Because this is a tactic to change the subject, So Amir responds. He says, I mean, the post assumes biblical Hebrew has characteristics and features of languages of Africa, but it isn't being specific as to how and which language or where. And I fail to see how who I am or my identity is relevant to the topic of the post. It's a good reply. So then the relevant Teo twin responds, "Are you afraid to tell me who you are and how you identify? I asked you, so feel free to oblige the request. My conversation is for Israel only. If you are a Gentile, then your energy is just focused on conflict. Tell me who you are, and we can continue. Your opinions mean nothing to me, because the answers to your question are not left to me alone to answer. The answers to your questions are already available to you with a little effort." Sure. I mean, if I can offer another comment here, The twins never got around to saying what language they had in mind. There were a couple of points where they seemed to allude to the possibility that it might be a language like, I don't know, like the Ewe language or something like that. But then at another time, they, insinuated that maybe it was a language used by a certain ethnic group within Somalia. It was completely vague, and they were all over the place. But so there's no way to look up what they're referring to because they can't even be clear what they're referring to. And honestly, saying that the information is out there is a bluff, honestly. But anyway, then the relevant Teo twin offered a follow-up comment. He says, "It does not matter what my post implies. I am not obligated to prove my statement to you. As I said, the data can be searched for online if you really care to know." Again, that's a bluff. And what's funny is that I think most would agree, at least within academia, which is the perspective that Amir Al-Umara is coming from. From the perspective of at least academia, the burden of proof would be on the one making the claim, right? So the Teo twins came out and said that there's some language somewhere in Africa that is, the true biblical Hebrew. And, with the implication being that it's far closer to biblical Hebrew than modern Israeli Hebrew. Actually, that was explicit in their post. And now all of a sudden they're saying, I'm not obligated to prove my statement. Though admittedly, they say I'm not obligated to prove my statement to you because they're implying that Amir is a Gentile and they're Israelites. And of course, that's a whole nother sticky issue, making big sweeping assumptions about not only Amir's lineage, but so too their own. But anyway, continuing on, Amir then wrote, "My identity is not relevant to the topic of the post and is a red herring. It does matter because you're asserting it to be the case, and by implication, you need to justify how and why it is the case. Simply telling one to do their own digging is shirking your duty of substantiating your claim." Again, excellent response from Amir. And then finally, the relevant Teo twin writes, "Then go away. I assert whatever I want to because I have the receipts, but I am not going to spend time with a Gentile. This is not your business and was not a message to you." Right, sure. So that's it. That's the entire exchange. It ended off with them, the relevant twin asserting that, he has the receipts, but he's not going to show them. Again, I'm sorry, maybe I've been very impolite in this video, but to be blunt, to not mince words, that's yet another bluff. Sorry. But like I said, they wound up deleting this entire exchange. And that's why I wanted, seeing that in my Facebook memories, I realized that, this needs to be recorded and put up. So that's why I wanted to make this quick video. Now, I'm about to close this video here, but before I do so, I just want to put up a disclaimer, anticipating certain replies that I suspect this video might receive. I want to say up front and say preemptively that neither I nor Amir were denying the existence of Semitic languages within the continent of Africa. I mean, I think it should be obvious for anyone who's looked at my social media activity that I think Ge'ez is an example of a Semitic language, within Africa. Obviously, Ge'ez has a very real proximity to Hebrew, and I've covered some of that, right? And then, of course, Arabic is firmly part of the continent of Africa now as well. And then there's other Semitic languages, like Amharic and Tigrinya and stuff like that, and so clearly I recognize the existence of Semitic languages within Africa. I don't think that the Teo twins had in mind an actual Semitic language. They, as I alluded to a moment ago, at certain points they seem to be alluding to Ewe as possibly being the relevant language. So even though they did briefly flirt with something in Somalia, they by and large seem to be flirting with this idea of a language somewhere in West Africa being the true biblical Hebrew. They never got around to saying what language they had in mind, nor did they ever make a positive case for it. And honestly, I think it's because, they're completely vague and fuzzy on the topic, and they're unable to have and I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say that, but honestly, they're unable to have a meaningful conversation on that topic. But on that note, I'll close this video here. Like I said, I just wanted to, put up somewhere this conversation, this exchange which the Teo twins tried to scrub from the internet. Honestly, I appreciated Amir's attempts to engage them. I appreciated his contributions to the correspondence, but that's it. As always, I welcome any comments, questions, or criticisms. Criticisms are welcome as well. Objections are welcome. As I often point out, I don't censor anyone here, so feel free to share your thoughts, whether positive or negative, and God bless.